everyone. I'm so thankful that you're here today to join us as we have this conversation that we've called Transforming the World Through Reflection. And this time, once again, we're going to focus on the artist's perspective on the global crisis, the way the pandemic and social injustice intersect. And these artists have, for years, in their art practice, addressed the pain and the healing of our African diaspora. I'll begin by introducing them and myself. My name's Melissa Shepard Williams, and I want to start introducing Sheree Brown. Sheree is a singer, songwriter, musician. She started with Capitol Records many years ago in R&B and pop, and continues to make beautiful music. She's won various ASCAP awards. She's also an author. We're going to talk about these books. I see one of them behind you, Shakanaka. And we'll talk about messages from the heart and messages from the spirit. So thank you, Sheree, for being here.
My pleasure. You're welcome.
Now I would like to introduce Bridget Dunn-Korpela. We share in the California Institute of the Arts community. Bridget is a choreographer, performer, educator, and we've had the opportunity to collaborate in clinical training because she has come to support students in learning about processing feelings through body work, through movement. And that's such a key piece. Her works have appeared in numerous festivals, among them, LA Dance Festival, performances at Red Cat, at MoCA. And something really, really important to share is that Bridget is part of the first national tour of Lion King. Bridget was the dance captain and one of the dancers as well. And now I want to introduce Channsin Berry. Channsin Berry is a filmmaker, songwriter, painter. I don't know what Chan doesn't do.
Dishes.
I mean, and Chan in his work has, he's written songs for amazing women like Chaka Khan, our beloved Nancy Wilson. In his work with Nancy Wilson, he won a Grammy for Turn to Blue. And in his film work for years, he has really helped in creating documentaries that help our reflection and promote healing. Most recently, Dark Girls 2. And we'll have an opportunity to reflect on that powerful work. So, shall we jump in? All right. This has been a rough time. This has been a year that we never expected, and yet filled with opportunities through all of this pain of being in quarantine, of seeing social injustice under a magnifying lens for everybody to see. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. How have you been moving through this experience? Do you want to start us, Sheree?
It's been hard. It's been surprisingly hard because I'm just this up person, upbeat. My goal in life is to be upbeat, stay upbeat, and help other people to be upbeat and stay upbeat. That's just a part of my nature, part of the fabric that I made with. So There's a lot of negative things. It's not that I don't acknowledge the negative things. It's just that the negative things are there for us. So my objective is always to look at the positive. And I've just never experienced anything like this in my life. And I was talking to my mom, she's not experienced it either. And so the interesting thing is that I'm working on this project. I've been working on it for 4 years, which is the messages from the spirit and the work, the music, and it's a book that's dedicated. Well, it's a book of stories from young adult women who they've all overcome challenges, and so within this framework, we dedicate artwork and music to them and their stories, and so. I've written most of it and produced all of it. And the great thing is that some of them are featured on the songs that are dedicated to their stories. So it's a gumbo of music and ages and crossover. And so I'm working diligently, and we're planning to get this out in this beginning of, in the spring, and then the pandemic hits. And it just throws everything out of whack as far as our timelines and being able to finish. But the thing is, so just continuing to say I've got to continue to be positive and encouraged, and sometimes it's harder to discipline myself to complete it. But the thing that keeps me going is what the end result is and why it is that I did it in the first place. And that is to get a positive message. Music is so healing. Music can touch people. The arts can touch people in ways that other forms of communication cannot. And it's a gift that God's given me, and it's something that I don't take lightly. And I'm thankful that, being in this business for the times and the years that I have been, that I'm still able to do what I do. So that has become my encouragement and push and discipline to get it finished, because we need it more than ever. So, there are a couple of things I do. This backyard it's not a podcast. I don't know what you call it. I'm just getting into a lot of this technical stuff, but it's Backyard with Sheree Brown. And one day, I do it every Tuesday. Sometimes it's on Wednesday from my backyard. And and I do it diligently every week. And for 4 weeks, I didn't do it. And I decided when I got back on that I would just be transparent. And I told my audience and those who share with me in my backyard on these tapings that I just had to take some time to regroup and gather myself. And that's what I did. And I just had to tell them, I said, I just needed to take that time. And I'm letting you all know. And it's important for people to reach out and share. So a lot of things are coming out of this as a result. And it's allowing me to use these tools even more so. It's prophetic, actually, because started working on this 3 years ago. And the stories and the music are so relevant to what's happening now with the pandemic, with the issue about race, what's going on with that, and that gives me the strength. I mean, that gives me the strength. Like the first thing is, so there's a song that Patrice Rushen and I co-wrote. So for the last 7 years, I've done a tagline, I choose love. And actually in 2018, I went to Patrice and I said, Patrice, I have this tagline, and let's just sit and write this song. So I went to her studio, went to her home studio, and she's just playing. Oh my gosh, the piano and what she was playing just was so perfect and it inspired me. I think I wrote the song, and she did it right then. We did it in less than an hour. So that is we did a soft release of it in February for Valentine's Day of this year. And then a lot of stuff started happening. And so the goal was to release that as a single, to kind of introduce and get people prepared for the album and the book release. Messages from the Spirit. The collective is the album, and the book is Messages from the Spirit. And we've been working on a music video that was almost finished. We actually finished taping it the weekend before everything shut down in March. And we've just finished editing it. So we're going to have a premiere of it and then restart the single and start rolling out things from the album. And I'm saying all that to say, little would I have known, or little did I know that 3 years ago, we would be sitting here sharing and talking about what's going on right now, you know, in our world. And so I feel even more honored that, you know, God is taking me through this, has still allowed me to do what I do, and to continue to work on this, what I feel is a gift from God that I'm able to share with others.
That's powerful, Sheree.
Yes, it is.
Powerful. It's powerful and it's truthful. And it just shows you that you are on the right path because your spirit knew 3 years before what was needed now.
Mm-hmm.
That's how God shows up. That's how spirits show up. That's how you show up. It's amazing that this continues to happen, and it can continue to happen to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us don't recognize the power that's in that. There's true power in that why you sing, why you write, why you dance, why you paint, why you play, is all because of what is coming.
Mm.
One of the things that, when you're talking about the art, I want to just interject something. When you made me remember this. Over a year ago, almost 2 years ago, the artist Charles Bibbs and I talked. Mm-hmm. And I was telling him about the song I Choose Love, right, in the project. And he decided that we decided together we would collaborate on this project, because there's art is a big focus in this project also, the visual arts. And so through a year period of he and I communicating, sharing snippets of music, he's sharing some snippets of his artwork, which inspired some of the music. Some of this music to me is some of the best stuff I've ever done, right? And I think everything I do is good. But as a result of it, Charles Bibbs did the art for the cover art for the album and the book. And he's my favorite artist.
Synergy.
Oh my gosh. He's my favorite artist, right? My house, my husband and our home is filled, the walls, right? Listen, you've seen it. They're filled with Charles Bibbs artwork. Other art, but Charles Bibbs.
Charles is on point.
Yes.
Charles is on point. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry, Melissa.
Oh, no, it's okay. We're flowing here.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
It's amazing, and what you said, Chan, is so true. The timing is no accident. You know, spirit moving through you, and the works come right on time. And as you and I have talked about, that is true of Dark Girls. It aired exactly when it was needed. Exactly when it was needed. So I would love to hear more about that experience for you, Chan, as we're living in this pandemic. And pandemic on so many levels. Pandemic of social injustice in our diaspora.
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me come on and be with all these talented folks on here. This is amazing.
Thanks for being here.
You know, as an artist who is sensitive, open, emotional, everything affects us. Everything affects us. Sunlight, no sunlight, the music in the street, people walking, people talking, people not talking, being inside, being alone, having conversations with friends, having arguments. It all affects us and how we move about through our gifts that have been given to us by the universe. For me, this year, 2020, has been the worst year of my life and the best year of my career. You know, when we talk about death of a parent, and we talk about the effect of the death on the child, my mom passed, and I'm going through this glorious period of career, and she's the last parent to cross over. And you know, I'm sad, but I'm powerful at the same time. I've never had this kind of power before in my life.
Right.
And so I've been trying to balance, you know, the power that my mom has given me with both my parents being on the other side now, and now the sadness that I have, this missing my mom. And I was like, what is this? What is this? Plus the pandemic, the racism, me being a Black man who could be shot at any time when I got to a stop sign. That stress, the stress of me being a dad who has to raise two young boys into two good human beings. And then here comes the sickness and and people dying and all of that. I had to check my mental health first.
Yeah.
I had to check my mental health and find out how can I come out of this and what can I create out of this that would be organic. So I had to sit with myself for about a month, just have all this stuff sink in and see who the person I was becoming. Because the big question I have out of all of this is that when this is over, who are we going to become? Who are we after this? You know, all this, you know, we're bombarded by so much. So when Dark Girls premiered on the 23rd of June on OWN, Dark Girls 2 premiered, I was happy. I was emotional. I thought it was time. I thought the timing was right. But after that airing, I had to take it back for like a couple of weeks and just sit with myself, like I just said, and find out what spirit and what God wanted me to do next. Because I came to the planet knowing exactly what I was here for at 9 years old. My purpose on the planet was to be a part of the healing process of people who look like us first, then everybody else secondly. So I've been in that path, on that path, with that path ever since. So in a way right now, today, I feel full and I'm ready. I'm ready now to move on and continue what the Spirit has given me to do in terms of the healing process of people who look like us.
I thank you for all the work that you do, all of you, because it's so intentionally about healing our people. And as I was listening to you, Chan, and the last words you shared, Sheree, it's been such an emotional time that you have had a need to pull back and just be with your feelings and move through them, to start over, to reconnect to that impulse of the artist to make art, to do this healing. And it's something that needs to happen with a sense of community, to feel supported, to feel supported. Healing cannot be done in isolation. You know, as a clinician, I will admit that this time has been emotionally very challenging for me. No matter how much training we have to be in the presence of someone's pain in our work, this year has been like no other, navigating our own pain, our own experience of this pandemic and the social injustice, especially being a person of color. So I thank you for sharing what you moved through. It was so much, so much. I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Oh, so many thoughts, and listening to everyone, some similar experiences. Sheree, you spoke about your work being prophetic, and I've been really reflecting on that, looking at the work that I've done prior to, even prior to Black Lives Matter movement, prior to pandemic, and it's almost, it scares me even a little bit to see even visual images of my work almost replicated in the scenes that I see on the news or on Instagram or what have you. And so when you talk about Chan and both of you just talking about what comes through you, what came to you through the work. And so the things that I've been thinking about again is this notion of being a conduit, the body as conduit. And so, and even as a teacher, in terms of like talking about the body itself, so what's coming in, what's coming through, what's stored in there, what's moving around, what's resonating, and where is that resonating, and what part of the body needs to say something in regards to that, and then how am I putting that back out there? So I'm constantly in this thought, in this moment of this real moment of this conduit, and that's a lot of again, I breathe heavy when I think about it, because as everyone's saying, there's this need to stop and listen, and stop and be still, and then just let what's coming in come in. But it's been challenging, just like everyone's saying. I'm challenged on so many levels as an educator. I'm extremely challenged in this moment. My question to myself is, what's my purpose in terms of what I teach? And is it, how do I want to say this? What's really important, what's urgent to this moment, and sort of in terms of teaching dance in the way that we've been teaching it up till now, I think it's in serious question. There's a lot of reworking that needs to be done, even within Black dance, even within contemporary dance. What's been at the heart of that, and why, and what aesthetics we've been perpetuating, even though we're classifying things again within a certain Black dance aesthetic. And so I'm really reevaluating what I'm teaching and why. It's been really challenging to teach in this format, really challenging, particularly teaching a movement-based art form. And so sometimes I feel like I'm in this vacuum, and I feel I'm trying to be connected, because based on the work that I've done in the past, it's really about pulling out, and I find it really hard to do it this way. And also I'm able to see with certain students the level of disparity. So I'm looking, we're sharing our homes as we are in this moment. And so I'm actually able to see and who has space, so the politics of space, the politics of who has access, who can move freely, who can express, who's confined. All of those things are real issues, and how do I justify what I'm doing or navigate that? And so that all of this to say, it's really hard. And my heart hurts a lot. I get off the Zoom with students, and to be honest, sometimes I cry a lot, because I'm trying to hold space and be supportive, but then again, my heart hurts. But again, what's my role? What's my purpose? I know it's clear, but it's just, it's heavy.
How does dance survive?
A lot. I'm sorry?
How does dance survive this experience?
You know, there are platforms where people are teaching on these platforms, whether it be Zoom. Some are offering up, you know, classes on Instagram, other social media platforms. Some instructors, artists are performing outside, social distancing, creating pieces where, you know, the dances, where there's enough space. But I think it really does call into question the art form and how we have to redefine it moving forward. So this is a real moment of shift in looking at that. I think there's a real issue with safety, you know, in terms of if we're going to teach in our traditional sense in those spaces. At least for me, that's a real concern for the safety of all of us. And so I think right now what my plan is and my conversation that I want to have with students going forward is, again, what is necessary and important for them in this moment, and what do they need to express, and looking at how we honor everyone's immediate circumstances and how we find a physical expression, a gestural expression based on that, versus coming in and saying, okay, this is our form, this is our technique, and this is what we're going to try to do and fit it into this, you know, the square and the circle, or the circle and the square. I don't want to do that. I don't think that for me, I don't want to do it that way. So I want to move forward with looking at how we can find movement, kinetic, a visceral expression, but that's authentic and honest to our circumstances. And then with that being conversation around what that movement is about and what people are experiencing. But I'm still trying to figure it out, because I obviously have to prep for this and be ready for this. Yeah.
So flexibility. So flexibility is called from us, but it's so hard. It's so hard to pause and allow ourselves to stretch when we're in pain. You know, and yet sometimes that's what most is stretching.
Or maybe it's that, again, or we stay with this, I mean, really looking at, maybe it's for those who can't stretch, literally physically can't stretch. And so what is that? And then, so let's work with that. Let's understand what that is and explore that. So that's what I mean. I think I'm going to have to be very present to what each person is experiencing and try to find an authenticity for them in that way. So because some folks can't stretch and won't stretch, or it's too, you know, so I want to maybe sit with that, you know, and yeah, it's going to be a challenge. It really is. Yeah. This particular art form, I would say. Yeah.
Speaking of being present, I'd like to ask all of you, what helps you be present when there's so much chaos going on? What helps you be present? The catch perspective.
Meditating. Sitting still. I sit in my backyard. I look at nature. I look at the patterns and the plants, the textures. I'm literally zooming into nature right now and trying to immerse myself in the crevices, the cobwebs, even the webs and the spot. I mean, really looking at and the what nature produces, and just trying to sit inside of that.
I would say the same thing. I would say nature, being quiet, the sunshine, and then for me, some music. But the music to me that I have to listen to make me present, to make me hear, can't be the music of memories. Music can have, because music for most of us have memories, good and bad. The music always takes you someplace, to that place that used to be, or you want to be. So I have to listen to music that doesn't have a memory for me, that makes me here, that takes me here, just like that sunshine, that breath of air that's coming into me right now from looking outside in my backyard, you know, that balances me, that centers me, that grounds me, you know. So between the meditation and what is going on right now in my space, and that music that doesn't have memory, that's what we need. That's what I need to survive. No, let me change that. That's what I need to live, not survive. Well, you know what? There's a song, "You Are Beautiful" by Sheree that she wrote probably 1980, 81, that I can go to, that's on my playlist for years, since 1981, I guess. Straight Ahead was the album. Straight Ahead was the album. Was that right? Is that right, Sheree?
Oh, I think Sheree's muted.
So yeah. Anyway, that's one of the songs I can go to.
Music.
It was straight ahead. It was straight ahead.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's wow. So I'm listening to you all, and that was such a profound question, listen, because I meditate. Our backyard is a park. You know, that's a blessing. That was like years ago when my husband purchased our home, that was like a selling point. But it's not those things that center me. It's my music. It's creating my music with the intent, the soul intent, to get it out to other people so that they can be touched the way that I think they'll be touched when they hear my music. So like, even like with this project, I go to sleep every single night with the headphone. You can ask my husband, because I have to make sure it's low enough that he can't hear it. It keeps him up, right? Every single night since this pandemic, we've finished everything on this album except for one song we're finishing now. So that means there's going to be 16 songs. These are 15 completed songs. I listen to it going to sleep every single night. Every time I hear it, it's like, I have to hurry and get this out so that people can feel what I feel about my own music. And it's not like, it's really like, even when I was younger, like "You Are Beautiful," I still play that, you know, and I dedicate it to people all the time. And and even as a child coming up, it never was a thing of me feeling like I needed to brag about what I was doing. I honestly felt that if it lightened up someone else's life, I had to do it. And I was doing it to do that. Doing it to do that. That's a song. Remember that we have created something today. Doing it to do that. Doing that to do it. Okay.
Okay,
Anyway.
the song is in progress.
Right. So, yeah. And so, and even like listening to all of, you know, in the sharing, I'm so thankful, Melissa, that you invited me to be a part of this, because as these other two beautiful artists share, you all are inspiring me. And it's a sense of strengthening and reorganizing, and re-energizing, so that I can reorganize if I need to reorganize. And it's like these things sometimes they come along and we don't even think about it until it happens, and then we know it's supposed to be happening. It's like that's what God wanted me to have today to help me to move along in the way that I need to move along from this point on. It's given me energy to know that there's still hope for me, you know, to continue to do this. And then even if I may share this about kids, something happened recently with my granddaughter. She's 7.5, and she got a cold. You know, she'd gotten in the pool and got chilled. She got a cold, and when she gets cold, she gets a stuffy nose, and it's hard for her to breathe. And so I was on the phone talking to my daughter, her mom, and she was, you know, telling me that she had a cold. And so my granddaughter started to cry. And so I could hear my daughter, you know, her mom say, "Why are you crying?" And she says, "I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick." I said, "You're going to get better." And so my daughter was telling me that she was so upset because she said, I don't want to have to quarantine for 14 days and not be around my family. And she's 7.5. And it was like, wow, we're going through this. Just imagine what the children are going through. And then what your students are going through is just like, wow. So I think that we all have a tool to help the world, all of us. And it's our job to do that. It's our calling to do that. And if all of us who have that power and tool come together, that's what's going to make a difference. Because right now, there's no turning back. And I feel that something great is getting ready to come out, is coming out of what we're going through right now.
Amen.
And
I believe it. I believe it. I believe this is a turning point like no other.
I wanted to share, Melissa, as Melissa shared with you, we've collaborated in the past and continue, but I wanted to share a little bit about Echo with them. You know, this piece that I have actually was my thesis piece at CalArts a few years back, but has since been performed, and it's a piece, again, calling Echo, but it looks at the ramifications of the Atlantic slave trade and how it reverberates. And again, what are, I was looking at the sort of the visceral experiences throughout. And there's an opening scene. I don't know if you remember this, Melissa, the scene with the ancestors in a circle. Yeah. You know, and so we open up with the piece where in its live version, and I say that because it's going to be transformed, but in its live theatrical version, where you literally enter into the space, I wanted to present this space of you being underwater, and immediately you're met with the ancestors who didn't necessarily make it, you know, so whose bodies and spirits are still in the Atlantic. And so I've been thinking about that a lot lately in terms of the reimagined version. I'm shifting this piece into a virtual AR immersive experience, and so I've been trying to reimagine what would that look like being underwater with the ancestors in this moment. And the idea of them literally awakening and emerging from the bed of the earth under the water and the coral and the reef. And so this idea that when you talk about the shifts and what's actually happening, I feel that's what I'm feeling like, this an emergence, and their bodies are shifting and the earth is shifting and the movement of the water. I mean, so I wonder, my thought is, again, this awakening of their energy is causing all this whole entire rift, you know, and so trying to put a visual and again, theatrical immersive experience around that. That
is beautiful.
Huh? I'm sorry?
That's beautiful. I saw that immediately.
It's such
from a cinematic standpoint, in my head as a director, I saw that immediately. I saw that. That's beautiful, powerful.
So I'm working with a animator, VR person, and so again, we're reimagining the live version of this.
Oh my God!
So that way, we can create a space where literally a participant, an audience member, is inside of that experience, and so again, the body language of, you know, this breath of awakening. So that's where I am right now. Again, so going back to the question, Melissa, what happens to dance? You know, I really feel like I'm in a spot, I'm in a moment where I have to reimagine my art form,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from the way that I'm used to engaging with it. So I have to lean into other ways of expression with movement.
To have seen it in the theater
Mm-hmm.
was so powerful. And the way you're describing this reimagining of it, I am so looking forward to that experience, because just as you presented it before was incredibly powerful, very emotional, very emotional. And thank all of you for the work that you do. Would you say then, and any of you, please jump in, would you say that the ancestors are giving us the energy that we need today, so that transformation, not just mere change, transformation of this world unfolds? There's something about this year that I just, wow.
I feel like it's a new movement, like the Renaissance era when it came through. I think for the arts, there's something new that's being created right now.
That's right.
I can't explain it. It's really,
right.
I'm getting goosebumps right now. And I think that we as artists are very strong people. And I think that because of that and the whole spirituality with our art, that is helping us move through these challenges that we have, that we've never been up against, in the way that we're up against. And there's a new movement. When people look back on history, they're going to look back on this time, and they're going to see and know how whatever that movement is going to be called in the future came about. And it's going to be about now, and it's going to be about us.
Sheree, to me, I go along 110,000% with you. It feels like this is another reconstruction period for me. This is the crossroad again that we've come to in mankind, where we have to make the right decision, because if we don't make the right decision this time, we won't be able to come back until this probably another 40 or 50 years from now. So everything depends on making the right spiritual led decisions now. This is why we are so important. The artist is so important right now, because we have this time that we asked to be here in this time to be a part of the reconstruction of humankind. This is our time to redefine, change the narrative, own the narrative, if you wish. If you wish. Everything that's ever been done in America has led to this point. There's a very good reason why we're here. All of us. There's a very good reason why we have the gifts we have right now. And what are we going to do with them? At this crossroads, it's an important spiritual time.
No accidents.
No, none.
No accidents. This journey brought us to this moment for a reason.
Yeah.
And the role of artists is so essential. I always say that I have this bias that it's impossible to learn about pain and healing without the arts. It's my bias.
And Bridget,
The arts are medicine.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that the visual that Bridget gave of that her dance, the choreography,
My God.
the dance piece, that I never thought about that, the shifting of the ancestors. I'm like, wow, I can get that.
Powerful.
It's like deep.
Powerful.
And I'm feeling, I mean, when you talk about chills, like
Powerful.
again, so I mean, literally, if that movement from them is happening and they've been embedded in the earth, so and the other thing, okay, I want to say, I'm sorry, I want to digress a little bit, but when you think about it's again they've been in the earth, in the water, so they've been feeding in every, they've been feeding this planet this entire time, so my question, I don't want to get too I don't want to get too out there, but I just where am I going with this? Again, that's what I'm saying. I have to sit and let it listen. And when I'm working, it's like, okay, as you all know, it's just like, let it come in. But they are literally shifting the way the earth is moving in this moment, And so I almost, and this, I hope I'm not going too far out there, but it took this shutting down of the earth also for other things to happen. And I'm just going.
Come on, tell it.
I'm just saying, okay, one without the other, they're not, but who's at the root, what's at the root of this, and who's making that shift, and who's, so I don't know if I have the words to finish the thought, but this is where I'm going, and I just, again, the grander, energy that's working to make this, like you said, reconstruction, this shift that has to happen,
Would we have been in this reconstruction if the pandemic didn't force us into this grand pause? We have had it has sat us down. It has sat us down. So like you said, I mean, one thing couldn't have happened without the other.
It's a chain of events that had to happen to get to this point so we could go through it and get through it and move on to the other side. Bridget, the ancestors were waiting for this moment. They've been waiting for this moment, Bridget. That's how I feel. That's the message that I get. They've been always here, but now they're waiting for this moment because this is the defining moment, as I keep saying. The reset button has been pushed.
Have to rise to this occasion.
There's something about this moment right here, right now, that the way everything is playing out, and you said, and again, that's why I keep coming back to their awakening. And I'm even, the scene is that they're waking up.
That's right.
And everything else is the ripple effect of that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not just, and it's not only the sitting down in the space of where we're at, but everything is magnified. And so the attention is more present because of the magnification.
Yes.
The things that are going on, right and wrong.
Because of the pandemic.
Because people needed to see.
Exactly. People are seeing what's been going on for centuries, but a magnification has been made. There's a magnifying lens making it all visible.
True. Very true. Very true. This is beautiful.
Wow.
This is beautiful.
It is.
This is beautiful. This is powerful. This is beautiful. This is healing also.
Yes.
So, things like this grouping, they don't just happen out of thin air. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a part of the reconstruction,
Yes.
Right.
spiritual reconstruction
Yeah.
that we've all are tapped into
Yeah.
or plugged into,
Mhm.
all four of us. But it had to come through Lisa first to get us all on this level right here, because this is a whole different vibration up here that we're at right now.
Mhm.
We're empaths also. And we're taking in all kinds of things right now. Because I'm tingly.
Yeah.
And listening to what and feeling, not only listening, but feeling what you ladies are saying, is resonating in me in a kind of way that's like, you know what? This is right. This is good. And this is another powerful piece that can move me forward towards my next projects.
Mhm. Mhm. Chan,
This is the truth.
something you said earlier about reconstruction really struck me. In that we, in our DNA, we carry pain of generations. We
Yes.
carry the pain of generations. And we all have been carrying survival tools. And as I hear you say reconstruction, and I hear you, Bridget, talking about shift, I'm thinking of how we're now moving from just survival into thriving through that reconstruction that Chan was talking about, reconstruction. I'm going to sit with that word and reflect on it and know that because we're here thinking out loud together, we're hopefully inviting the community into reflection, because reflection helps us to thrive. You know, impulsivity is dangerous. Reflection helps us to, you know, do something useful with chaos.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Bridget,
Yes.
and Sheree, do you create more out of pain or happiness?
Happiness for me. But that's an interesting question. And pain.
Both. So is it, Sheree, is it equal? Is it equal? Is it like 60-40? Is it 50-50? Is it 90? Or is it depending on where you are? Let me ask this question. Has some of your best work come out of pain or happiness?
Is that for both of us, or is that just a general? Yeah. Sorry, Sheree, I didn't want to.
No problem.
Yeah. I'm hesitating because I think initially the work, again, I don't go in with this is what I'm going to do the work about. I really tend to let the work tell me what I'm supposed to do. And so far, the work has dealt with our particular traumas and that are, again, that I'm curious about, that are in the body, you know. And so, but is all the work heavy or painful? I mean, I don't know if all of it is, but I think it lives in the space of looking at it, you know, and with the intention with that, hopefully in looking at it, there's some release in that. So to answer your question, I don't know if I'm answering it, but I think it's looking at what the pain is, and then hopefully that there's, again, it can release itself. That's the best.
That's nice, Bridget.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, Chan.
Yeah.
And I, thinking, always happiness. So when I'm right, there are two different emotions that are involved, happiness or pain. But whatever the emotion is, happiness always, for me, has to be the outcome and the message behind that song.
Got it.
So like even with this new project, some of the stories that the women are sharing are very painful. And some of the songs that are dedicated to them address that pain, but through those tunnels, there's light. And that's what has to be the ending result of that song and the message for me, which gives other people hope, because in the realness, we all go through pain, but it's always good to know and believe that out of pain, there's going to be some brightness or some form of relief. And so that's
Sheree, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of that piece in Messages from the Heart that you wrote, looking inside, look inside.
Now, that song, that's interesting that you bring that song up. I co-wrote that song with the late, I don't know why, I'll think of his name. He just passed last week or the week before last. He was a jazz artist and a great writer. He did Sand Pebbles and A Shadow of Your Smile, and I don't know why his name just went. Anyway, he and I co-wrote that song. He did the music for it. And I can see his face and everything. I'll get it. But
Michelle LeGrand?
No, he worked a lot with Quincy Jones. He wrote the theme for MASH.
Yes.
Oh, I can't, I'll think of it, but Johnny Mandel.
Johnny Mandel, yes.
Yes. And so that song was written, the lyrics of that song was done in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny Mandel wrote the music. And even the way that song came about, it was dedicated to one of the women. And it's like inside, there's something always there inside that's good and bright and light. And that's how that song came about. And Johnny told me, because I'm usually into structure. It has to rhyme. It has to do this, the verse, the chorus, the bridge. And he told me something. He says, a good song is a good song. And I'm paraphrasing, but a good song is a good song. And sometimes it has no structure. So don't ever get locked into a structure. And that gave me the freedom to write the lyrics of that song. He came up with the melody and everything.
How can that message serve us in life outside of songwriting? Don't get locked in structure.
It can serve us in it can serve us in all ways. Because you know what? It's like when things seem to be falling apart around us, we still have we still have ourselves. And can look inside and find some strength. That's the goal, my goal. Sometimes it's hard. Inside there's so much there. Inside you really cares so much about the joys of living. So when you're feeling sad, you don't have to cry. Stop and look inside. Inside you, there's the strength. And then it goes on.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
That's an interesting question, Melissa, about structure. Because that's what we're looking at, a particular structure that's no longer, that doesn't work anymore. system that's no longer working. But I have this image of someone's, the grip, the iron grip of holding on to this idea of that structure. And I think it's a releasing of these ideas and these models, of a particular structure that are the ways in which we have to be. And I think, again, it's releasing that and stepping into the unknown of what's to come. And so, again, not that form and structure don't serve purpose, but that the releasing of some of that, I think we have to be open to be able to step into the next phase of this,
Letting go can be painful.
It's scary because, again, it's our identity, it's what we know in various ways. And I think even the people that we're, again, I want to say the people that support the person in the office, I'm going to leave it at that. But there's this vehement holding on to this structure, this idea of identity, that at all costs they'll hold on to, despite, and when we talk about pandemic, despite, human life, despite what is right. And it's the releasing of that I think that is too scary for people, Yeah.
As I heard you mention releasing an identity that's attached to communities or attached to, I thought of your work, Chan, and how as you invite people into reflection about what identity they have attached to erroneously because of internalized oppression. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on how the healing is unfolding, this identity conflict healing.
You're stuck there. Hello?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this process of healing, that sense of identity conflict that comes with internalized oppression, as in colorism. Since we're talking about, letting go of identities that don't serve us.
That's the thing for us African Americans. Identity and being able to find out and trust who you are and what your purpose is on the planet. But when you have a people, more than any other peoples on the planet that have gone through 5 or 6 different identities every 50, 70 years, you tend to question, who you are. And when you've been a colored, a Negro, a African American, an Afro American, a Black, a nigger, and many of the identities have been given to you by people who don't look like you, there's questions.
Mm-hmm.
So we constantly look for ourselves, trying to identify ourselves by giving ourselves, but try to separate from everybody else, changing our names, having different ways of thinking, different ways of living, different ways of dressing, try to separate ourselves, trying to find ourselves in all of this. And, I think for me, when I decide who I am, that's when I take back my power. That's when I understand my purpose on the planet. That's when I identify myself through me, through my eyes, through my spiritual eyes, through my God, through my stars, my moons, my suns. I experience myself. I identify myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken that power away from other people and taken it on for myself. I no longer let people decide who I am or what I am.
Mm.
That's not for you to decide.
Mm.
Interesting enough, Sister Sonia Sanchez, wonderful poet, writer. We were together in Minneapolis at a Black Women's Convention, and I was showing a trailer from one of my movies. And she came up to me, she said, Chan, you know, from this point on, you're no longer a filmmaker. And I was like, wait a minute, sister. This is what I do. This is what I am. I love this. I'm a filmmaker. She said, no. She said, from this point on, you're an image engineer.
Mm.
Changed my life. Changed my life.
Mm.
Made me even more responsible for the images I put on screen now. An image engineer. So that was a sister who was coming to me, who saw me for what I was, and said to me, you know what? This is how I see you, brother. I was like, wow.
That's powerful.
Wow. So it coming from another Black person in that from that level of sincerity and love and blessings, I had to receive that. Because that came through her from the ancestors to tell me that. That lifted me. That gave me another piece of the puzzle to make me. Now I'm an image engineer. I've got to be responsible for the images I put on screen. They got to be images that help people move forward, not back, help them heal.
Thank you for that, Chan. Wow. True power.
True power.
True power.
I am what I am. You don't define me. I am what I am. I am what I call myself. I don't longer
I
give
am you. You are me. Isn't it plain to see? It's not a mystery. I am you and you are me.
Mm-hmm. Come on with it.
That's a song.
Yeah, come on with it. Come on with it.
Yeah. That's beautiful, Chan. Thanks.
Oh,
Sharing that. Wow.
this gathering has been such a blessing. I am so thankful. So thankful for all of you.
Thank you.
You know, this is all love. This is all in love, for love, about love, through love, with love, you know. So it's emotional, it's beautiful, it's truthful. And I just reconnected with Sheree, and I'm just meeting Bridget, who I have to connect with. This woman right here? Right here?
I'm trying to tell you.
What? Girl, I'm coming over your house today. I'm walking. I don't care where you live. I'm walking in your house today.
We can sit in the backyard.
We can social distance in the backyard and talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I welcome. Yes. I welcome to continue to be in conversation with all of you. I'm honored and humbled but again, confirmation.
Sure enough confirmation. Sure enough confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Sheree, let me just say this to you, sis, before we jump on. You have always been the business, and you continue to be the business because your heart is in the right place, Sheree. From the moment the needle touches the record, you've shown up. As soon as the voice hits the mic, you have shown up. And thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You all. This is so.
Oh, it was beautiful. It's so needed. It's just so needed. I'll be on my knees thanking God for this session, because this was a session for me. Okay, from all of you. Thank you, Melissa. And at the end of, I just want to say at the end of September, we're planning on doing a world premiere of the music video for I Choose Love.
Beautiful.
So,
Okay.
Beautiful.
putting that out there.
I'll show up.
I definitely, again, Melissa, thank you for introducing me to beautiful, beautiful humans. I really would love to stay in conversation with all of you. Yes. Yeah.
These souls in this group.
And I have such a love and admiration for dancers and choreographers.
So do I.
Yes, but I grew up with my daughter as she grew up. You know, I was a part of that journey for her. She's got a degree in dance, a professional dancer. She's not dancing now. She's being a mom. But
Okay.
I know and respect that world. You all are such hard workers. I believe that dancers are the hardest workers in the industry and the least paid.
That's we can have another session on that.
But you all are so strong. Oh my gosh.
The greatest athlete. The greatest athlete.
You know, I feel and I feel blessed to have had the journey that I had. You know, so I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful for what I was able to experience. So.
I want to put in a quick commercial. All my students that have ever experienced you, Bridget, I'm talking about students in clinical training. The experience was unforgettable. They understand the power of the work because of what you brought to the process.
Thank you. And you were part of the, again, my first beginning stages of a lot of that work. So, and the conversations that we had to help me find, you know, the narratives and the stories. So thank you. Yeah. More to come. Who'd you say?
The universe brings us all together for a reason.
More to come, more to talk about.
And please share my contact information, Melissa, with everyone. And I hope I can.
Likewise, yeah. That you can just please feel free, because I would really seriously love to be in conversation. Yeah.
I like the flow.
Yes, this is beautiful.
Let's all do it together.
I love it. I love it.
Come on, you got to do it, Melissa. 1, 2, 3, go.
It's my left hand.
I love that. That's a great chant.
So when we see each other, we say goodbye. Flow.
Flow.
Whoa, yeah. That's great. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I gotta, ooh.
Be well, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well, be safe. And
Bless
again, let's talk more. Let's talk more.
Yes, yes.